What if I told you that God is dead? Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher who dared to challenge the foundations of morality and truth, left a mark on the world that continues to resonate today. Genius? Madman? Prophet? Let's explore the life and thoughts of one of history's most provocative thinkers. Friedrich Nietzsche was born in 1844 in Rücken, Germany, into a devout Lutheran family. Even as a child, he stood out for his sharp intellect and creativity. While his peers played, Nietzsche was drawn to books, music, and philosophy, showing an early interest in questioning the world around him. This curiosity would define his later life in philosophical writings. By the age of 24, Nietzsche became a professor of classical philology at the University of Basel. But despite his academic success, Nietzsche was increasingly disillusioned by the constraints of the academic world. He craved independence and freedom, and so he left academia to focus on his writing and ideas. However, his life was not easy. He battled with chronic illnesses, loneliness, and the complexities of his relationships with important figures like composer Richard Wagner and philosopher Paul Rée. These personal struggles shaped his philosophical works, but perhaps the most poignant part of Nietzsche's life came in 1889, when at the age of 44, he suffered a mental breakdown. The famous incident occurred in Turin, Italy, when he saw a horse being beaten by its owner. Nietzsche rushed to the animal, embraced it, and began weeping uncontrollably. It was the last act of sanity before his collapse. After that, he would spend the remaining years of his life in a state of mental confusion, unable to continue his philosophical work. This tragic end only added to the mystique and controversy surrounding Nietzsche's ideas, making his legacy even more complex and debated. Now that we have a glimpse into Nietzsche's life, let's explore some of his most captivating ideas. Ideas that continue to provoke thought, ignite debate, and challenge the way we see the world today. Nietzsche was not just a philosopher, he was a radical thinker who dared to question everything: morality, religion, power, and even the nature of existence itself. One of Nietzsche's most famous declarations is, "God is dead." This powerful and unsettling phrase captures more than just his critique of traditional religious beliefs. It signals a profound shift in Western culture. With the decline of faith in God, Nietzsche believed humanity faces a crisis of meaning. Without a divine authority to define right and wrong, we are left with an unsettling question. What now? If there is no absolute truth, then who or what gives life meaning? This is the terrifying challenge of nihilism, the realization that there are no inherent values, only the ones we create. But Nietzsche did not see this as a cause for despair. On the contrary, he believed that this crisis was an opportunity, a chance for humanity to rise beyond blind faith and forge its own destiny. As he wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "Dead are all gods. Now we want the Overman to live." This brings us to one of Nietzsche's most revolutionary ideas, the Übermensch, or Overman. If God is dead, what comes next? For Nietzsche, the answer was not to fall into nihilism, but to transcend our limitations and create a new way of being. The Übermensch is not just someone who rejects conventional morality, it is someone who actively shapes their own values and embraces self-overcoming. Rather than conforming to what society expects, the Übermensch lives by their own rules, forging a path not out of obedience, but out of strength and creativity. This idea was deeply personal for Nietzsche, who spent much of his life rejecting societal norms and seeking his own identity outside the constraints of tradition. He saw the Übermensch as the future of humanity, a being who does not follow but leads. Another key idea in Nietzsche's philosophy is the will to power. Often misunderstood, this concept is not merely about seeking dominance or control. Rather, Nietzsche saw it as the fundamental driving force behind all life, the desire to grow, to assert oneself, to create, and to push beyond one's limits. Everything in nature, Nietzsche argued, is driven by this force. Plants stretch toward the sun, animals fight for survival, and humans, when they embrace their true nature, strive for greatness. The will to power is what drives artists to create, thinkers to challenge the status quo, and individuals to become more than they are. As Nietzsche wrote, "What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power in man, the will to power, power itself in man. This is not about brute force or political power. It is about self-mastery, about channeling our inner strength to become the highest version of ourselves. And finally, one of Nietzsche's most haunting and thought-provoking ideas, eternal recurrence. Imagine he challenges us. What if you had to relive your life exactly as it is, over and over, for eternity? Every joy, every sorrow, every mistake, repeated forever. Would you rejoice at the thought, or would you be crushed by it? This is not just a thought experiment. Nietzsche saw it as a test of how we live. If the idea of reliving your life forever fills you with dread, then perhaps you are not living the life you truly want. The challenge of eternal recurrence is simple yet profound. Live in such a way that you would gladly repeat your life endlessly. As he wrote, "What if some day or night a demon were to steal after you into your loneliest loneliness and say to you, 'This life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more.' Would you not throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon who spoke thus?" This is a call to action, a challenge to fully embrace life rather than merely endure it. These core ideas, the death of God, the Übermensch, the will to power and eternal recurrence, form the backbone of Nietzsche's philosophy. They are not just abstract theories. They are challenges, provocations, invitations to live more intensely, more freely, more authentically. Nietzsche did not provide easy answers. He forced us to think, to struggle, to confront the deepest questions of existence. And that is why, more than a century later, his words still shake the very foundations of our beliefs. Nietzsche remains a compelling figure in philosophy, loved by existentialists, artists, and rebels. His emphasis on individuality and self-creation resonates with those who seek to break free from societal constraints. Artists, in particular, find inspiration in his advocacy for personal expression and the exploration of existential themes. For many, Nietzsche's work is a call to embrace the chaos of life, finding beauty and meaning amidst the struggle. However, his ideas have also been misused and distorted. The Nazis infamously co-opted Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch to promote their own ideology of racial superiority, despite Nietzsche's disdain for anti-Semitism and nationalism. This misunderstanding has cast a long shadow over his legacy, leading many to associate his philosophy with extremist views. It's essential to recognize that Nietzsche's writings were often nuanced and complex, making it easy for people to misinterpret or oversimplify his thoughts. Despite this controversy, Nietzsche's influence on various fields, philosophy, psychology, and modern thought, cannot be overstated. His ideas laid the groundwork for existential psychology, influencing thinkers like Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. Nietzsche's exploration of the human psyche and the concept of the will to power foreshadowed many modern theories about motivation and personal drive. Furthermore, his critique of morality challenges us to reconsider the values we often take for granted. In a world where moral relativism is increasingly discussed, Nietzsche's ideas encourage us to think critically about what we believe is right and wrong. He forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about our values and the motivations behind our actions. Interestingly, Nietzsche's thoughts on nihilism, the belief that life is inherently meaningless, can also be viewed as an opportunity for liberation. He believed that by acknowledging the absence of inherent meaning, we could free ourselves from outdated beliefs and create our own values. This perspective is particularly relevant today as many people navigate the complexities of modern life and seek personal fulfillment. In summary, Nietzsche's ideas continue to challenge us, urging us to embrace our individuality and confront the complexities of existence. As we continue this exploration, we'll dive deeper into these themes, uncovering how they resonate with our contemporary experiences and how they can inspire us to lead more authentic lives. Nietzsche's words still spark debate because they refuse to be neatly categorized. His philosophy is raw, intense, and sometimes unsettling, full of contradictions, yet undeniably powerful. He wasn't interested in giving easy answers. He wanted to shake us awake, to force us to confront our deepest fears, desires, and beliefs. And that's exactly why he still feels alive today. He's not just a figure in history books, he's a voice we keep returning to, a thinker we still argue about, a challenge we have yet to fully grasp. His ideas don't just ask us to think, they dare us to live, boldly, authentically, and without apology. In the end, Nietzsche doesn't give us a final truth. He gives us something far more valuable, the push to seek our own.